Everyone at the party turned to look when she walked in, not because of her dress or her confident stride, but because of the sparkling diamond ring on her finger. It was big, bright, almost too perfect. Whispers filled the room. Some smiled politely, but others couldn't help but snicker behind their glasses. "It's fake," one woman whispered to her friend. "Definitely from a street vendor," another scoffed. No one believed it was real. After all, what was an ordinary girl like her doing with something that expensive? Her name was Mia. She wasn't rich. She didn't come from a powerful family. She worked a regular job, lived in a small apartment, and saved every penny. The ring, to most people there, just didn't fit her story. And in a world where appearance meant everything, that diamond became the center of attention for all the wrong reasons. But what they didn't know was that the ring had a story of its own. It wasn't bought on impulse. It wasn't a fake. And it certainly wasn't from any street vendor. The truth behind that ring would shock everyone in the room, because that so-called fake diamond, it was actually something far rarer and far more valuable than anyone could imagine. As the night went on, the whispers grew louder. Some laughed. Others rolled their eyes. But Mia stayed calm, quiet, almost as if she knew something they didn't. And when the truth finally came out, it would leave every single person speechless. But before that moment arrived, one man stepped forward, someone who recognized the stone, not for what it looked like, but for what it truly was. That's when everything began to change. The man who stepped forward wasn't someone most people paid attention to. He was quiet, maybe in his late 50s, with kind eyes and a sharp gaze that seemed to notice what others missed. His name was Mr. Carter, a retired gemologist who had worked with rare stones all his life. When he saw Mia's ring from across the room, he didn't laugh. He didn't assume. He looked closely, and then something in his expression shifted, just for a second. Mia noticed. She met his eyes, unsure of what he was thinking. He walked over slowly, gently asked if he could take a closer look. The room hushed. People pretended not to listen, but every ear leaned in. Mia hesitated, then slipped the ring off her finger and handed it to him. Her hands trembled just slightly, but she stood tall. Mr. Carter turned the ring under the light. The room's sparkle dimmed in comparison to the quiet weight of that moment. He didn't say much, just nodded once, carefully, and said, "This isn't what they think it is." That's all. But it was enough to silence the laughter for the first time all evening. People stared. A few looked embarrassed. Some looked curious. But no one knew what he meant exactly. And Mia, she still hadn't said a word about where the ring came from, because behind it was a story she kept to herself, a past filled with secrets, a family heirloom, and a promise made years ago. The truth about the gem wasn't just in its value. It was in what it represented, and even Mr. Carter didn't know the full story yet, but he would. Soon, because that night was only the beginning of something much bigger, and not everyone would be ready for what was coming next. As Mr. Carter held the ring, a few guests began whispering again, this time with a different tone. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It was curiosity mixed with unease. Some people, especially those who had mocked Mia the loudest, now looked uncomfortable. One woman, Olivia, who had openly joked about the fake diamond, crossed her arms and forced a smile. She didn't like being wrong, especially not in front of everyone. Mia's silence made it worse for them. She didn't explain. She didn't defend herself. That quiet confidence only added to the mystery. Behind her calm eyes, though, was a storm of emotions. Because the ring wasn't just rare, it was connected to someone she'd lost. Her grandmother had given it to her in secret, days before she passed, with a quiet warning. Asterisk, some things are meant to be hidden until the right time. Asterisk. Mr. Carter, sensing the weight of the moment, asked if he could meet Mia privately after the party. She nodded. Olivia noticed and quickly stepped outside to make a phone call. She had connections in the jewelry world and wasn't about to let someone like Mia steal the spotlight, especially not with something that could be worth millions. Meanwhile, another guest, A man named Daniel watched from the corner. He wasn't interested in the gem's value. He was interested in Mia. They'd known each other years ago, before she disappeared from everyone's lives. He never got answers back then. Now he wondered if this ring, and the attention it brought, had something to do with why she vanished. The party was supposed to be simple, just a gathering. But by the end of the night, tensions had shifted. What started with laughter and judgment had become something far more serious. And none of them had any idea what Mia was really protecting. The air inside the house had shifted, conversations quieted, and eyes followed Mia wherever she moved. Olivia returned from her call, her expression tight, hiding the fact that her contact had just confirmed something unsettling. The gem on Mia's ring didn't show up in any official records, but that only made it more interesting. Rare stones like that didn't just appear out of nowhere. They had histories, owners, sometimes even legends. Mr. Carter paced slowly, still holding the ring. He was trying to place it. Had seen a gem like this before, once years ago, in an old journal from his early days in the trade. Back then, there were rumors about a missing blue fire opal, mistaken for diamond because of its unusual clarity, supposedly lost during a war, passed down quietly through generations. He glanced at Mia, and a new thought began to form. Could it really be that same stone? Outside on the balcony, Daniel finally worked up the courage to speak to Mia. "Why now?" he asked. "Why show up with it tonight?" She looked at him, eyes soft but guarded. "Because I didn't choose to," she said quietly. "It was never supposed to be seen." Before we could say more, Olivia's voice rang out from inside. "I think we all deserve to know the truth," she said, walking back into the center of the room. "If that ring is real, where did it come from? And why would someone like **** have it?" Maya froze. It was happening faster than she'd hoped. Whispers grew louder again, but now they carried fear, curiosity, and something else: greed. The gem wasn't just rare, it was dangerous. And as Mr. Carter slowly looked up from the ring, his face pale, everyone in the room knew something was coming. Something big. Mr. Carter's hand trembled slightly as he set the ring down on the nearby table. His voice was low, almost unsure as he spoke. "This stone, it's not just rare, it's untraceable. And that means it's either never been catalogued, or someone made sure it disappeared." The room went still. For the first time that night, the laughter, judgment, and curiosity turned into something colder: fear. Before anyone could respond, the front door creaked open. A man in a dark coat stepped in, scanning the room with practiced eyes. No one recognized him, but he walked straight toward the ring like he knew exactly what he was looking for. "I believe it belongs to my family," he said calmly, but with a weight that silenced every voice in the room. Mia's heart pounded. She'd seen him once before, years ago, after her grandmother passed. He wasn't family. He was someone from her grandmother's past, someone who came asking questions about a missing heirloom. She had hidden the ring ever since, never understanding why he wanted it so badly. Mr. Carter stepped between him and the table. "You'll need to explain who you are before anyone hands over anything," he said firmly. The man didn't blink. "I don't think you understand what that gem is. It's not just a ring, it's evidence. It was stolen." Gasps echoed through the room. Olivia looked shocked. Daniel moved protectively closer to Mia, and Mia herself suddenly felt the walls close in. Everything she thought she knew about the ring, her grandmother's warning, the mystery, it had all just deepened. If the stone was stolen, from who? And why had her grandmother hidden it for so long? Now the question wasn't just whether the ring was real. It was, what secret was it protecting? Mia stared at the man, her voice finally steady. "Stolen? From who?" The stranger didn't answer right away. He reached into his coat and pulled out a worn photograph, faded, torn at the edges. He handed it to her without a word. Mia looked down. Her grandmother was in the photo, standing beside him. Younger, smiling, holding the same ring in her hand. "My grandfather gave that ring to your grandmother," he said. But when the war ended, she vanished. The gem was never seen again. Until now. The room fell silent. Mr. Carter leaned in, inspecting the photo. "He's telling the truth," he said quietly. "That gem isn't just rare, it's one of a kind. Crafted during wartime, made with a technique that's now lost. If it was gifted, it wasn't stolen, but hidden." Mia took a deep breath, her hands trembling. "She told me to protect it. Said one day someone would come for it, but only when it was safe." The man's gaze softened. "I didn't come to take it back. I came to understand why she disappeared, and why she never returned." As the tension slowly eased, Mia placed the ring on the table between them. "Then maybe we both deserve the truth," she said. "Not just about the ring, but about her." People in the room began to shift uncomfortably, unsure of how to process what had just unfolded. Olivia quietly slipped away. Daniel stayed close, still watching everyone carefully. Just as Mia thought the moment had passed, Mr. Carter picked up the ring one last time and frowned. "Wait," he said. "There's something etched on the inside. It wasn't there before." He turned it under the light. Tiny letters, coordinates. Everyone leaned in. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning. The room held its breath as Mr. Carter read the tiny engraving aloud. Coordinates, pointing to a remote village in Eastern Europe. Mia recognized the name. It was where her grandmother was born, a place she never spoke of but kept close in memory. The man in the coat, now softer in tone, nodded. "That's where it all started," he said. "Maybe it's time to go back." In the days that followed, the tension around the ring faded. It was no longer just a symbol of wealth or mystery. It had become a bridge between two families, once separated by time, secrets, and fear. Mia, with the help of Mr. Carter and Daniel, began uncovering old letters and photographs her grandmother had hidden away. Each clue added another piece to the puzzle, revealing a story of wartime love, betrayal, and a promise that had lasted generations. Olivia never mentioned the ring again. Her pride was bruised, but even she knew when a story was bigger than her ego. Daniel, now closer to Mia than ever, helped her make plans for a quiet trip to the village. She didn't want fame or attention. She just wanted to understand the woman who had raised her and why she had gone to such lengths to protect a ring that everyone once laughed at. And the ring? Mia didn't lock it away. She wore it, not as a symbol of luxury, but of truth, of stories untold, of legacy. Sometimes, what looks like a fake diamond is far more valuable than anyone can imagine, because behind every rare gem, there's often a story. And in Mia's case, it wasn't just a story of a ring. It was a story of love, history, and the strength it takes to carry a secret until the world is ready to hear it.